In a downtown hotel lobby, a manager orders a housekeeper to dump her bag on the marble floor, humiliating her in front of guests. A young night auditor breaks protocol and insists on a private witness check, risking a write-up and lost hours. The fallout is quiet, but real, sparking small changes in policy and behavior while restoring a measure of dignity. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. Drop it on the floor, the manager said. The housekeeper opened her canvas tote like it burned. A banana rolled toward the elevators. A pill bottle rattled so loud it turned heads. A single child's sock landed near a polished shoe. The lobby kept its cold, fake lemon smell while personal things spread across marble meant for shoes and luggage, not anyone's life. Look, the manager said, towing a roll of quarters with the tip of her heel. Cash. Imagine that. She didn't sound angry. She sounded tired and hard, like there was a clock running on her patience. The security radio on her hip crackled. The housekeeper kept her hands in the air, palms open, eyes on the floor. Evan watched from behind the front desk. He had the day shift tie bunched in his pocket and the night audit spreadsheet open on a glowing monitor. He could feel the line they were crossing, even from 20 feet away. His probation review was in 3 weeks. Ms. Maud Klein was his manager. If he jumped in, she could cut his hours. His rent was due Friday. He could look away. The new general manager had told them last month, don't get involved when loss prevention is in play. They all nodded then. Evan had nodded too. He knew how easy it was to play small. He thought about his calendar alert for his mother's infusion next week. Health insurance was why he took this job. He sucked in a breath that felt cold all the way down. He stepped off the mat. Let's do this in the office, he said as he walked around the luggage cart. He kept his voice low. He positioned himself between the housekeeper and the wedding party clustering near the elevators. Policy says, private checks with a witness. We can use 2B. It locks. He bent, slow, and started gathering. Tampons, a folded paper, a receipt wet from the air, the roll of quarters. He used a fresh lobby towel to make a soft pile, not touching skin to anything. The housekeeper's eyes flicked up at him once. Quick thanks, quick fear. She still kept her hands up. Evan dialed loss prevention. His knuckles were damp against his phone. Hi, incident on lobby floor, he said, his eyes on Mrs. Mid Klein. Requesting a private space per bag check procedure. We have a female staff member. Need a female witness. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look at the guests with their phones out. He shifted his stance to block their shot. Ms. Klein planted a hand on her hip. Evan, back to the desk. This isn't your lane, she said. Her lipstick had worn off in the middle. Her mascara had smudged. She'd been on since 6. A gold watch had gone missing from a VIP room, and the GM had said there was a window before the guest blasted them online. Evan knew this because he'd heard Mistakens. Evan knew do reasoned. Klein take the call at 5:14 a.m. We're supposed to protect the brand, not humiliate staff in front of guests, he said, still quiet. He was not brave. He was not a hero. He had just seen a child's sock on the marble. He kept placing things onto the towel like they were fragile, because they were. He slid his own reusable tote from under the desk, the one he used for snacks and a phone charger. He shook it open and set it next to the pile. Don't touch evidence, she said. Security's on the way. Security showed up. A big man with kind eyes who always said hi to the night crew. He looked unsure now. He glanced at Mrs. Ms. Mortimental. He glanced at Nisbel Cryo, Klein, then at Evan, then at the wet paper, then at the housekeeper's trembling hands. Guests rearranged themselves to get a better view, like they were waiting on a magic trick. The elevators dinged and dinged. It's a bag, Evan said to the guard. Not a crime scene. We do it right or we don't do it. Private room. Female witness. He knew the words because he had been the kid who read the binder when the lobby was dead at 2 a.m. Miss Klein's jaw tightened. You go back to that desk right now. She pulled a form from her clipboard and pressed it against her thigh to write, I'm writing you up for insubordination. She didn't say please or sorry. She didn't curse. She just wrote, a fine scratch of pen on paper in a lobby built for soft, rich quiet. Evan nodded. After we move this, he said. His voice shook once and then settled. He slid the towel under the scattered things, lifted the corners, and made a kind of sling. He didn't look at the paper on top. He didn't look at the label on the pill bottle. He carried the whole bundle at waist height like you carry a sleeping cat. Miss Klein sighed. Fine. 2B, she said. She was smart. She wasn't cruel for sport. She was scared of a guest with followers. She waved the guard toward the service hall. Let's go. Then to Evan, without looking at him. You, clock out. Leave your badge with me. Okay, he said. He looked at the housekeeper. This way, he told her, and he started walking toward the service corridor. The guard fell in beside them. Miss prepares something monumental Mars and by. Klein followed. The housekeeper lowered her hands and grabbed her tote with a little gasp, as if she had forgotten she had hands. In the housekeeping break room, the air smelled like bleach and bread. The microwave hummed. A bulletin board held faded notes about potlucks. Evan set the towel on a table in the corner, away from the sink. He handed the woman his tote. He rinsed the lobby towel under cold water and wrung it out tight. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask if she was okay. He brought her a paper cup of water and a napkin. She nodded once, twice, like her neck was freeing up. The guard hovered near the doorway. Miss Bull? Klein stood with her clipboard tapping, frown deep. I'll call HR, she said. Ruth can be the witness. She pulled out her phone with brisk fingers. The break room's fluorescent lights made everything meaner than it was. The hummingbird panic that had been under Evan's ribs settled one wing at a time. He set a folded paper on the table without looking at it. He slid the quarters over. He placed the child's sock on top of the tote so it wouldn't get lost in the corners. The woman hid the sock the way people hide expensive things. She pulled the folded paper back to her and pressed it flat. Evan saw just enough to read, noticed a quit in bold near the top, and a date circled in black ink. He saw a schedule scribbled in the margin. He looked away. She tapped the roll of quarters once. Laundry, she said, voice barely there. Then, after a beat, I didn't take any watch. I know, he said. He put his lunch bag on the table. A turkey sandwich, an apple, a packet of mustard. He hadn't been hungry anyway. You can have this. He pushed it toward her. She hesitated and then opened the bag and pulled out the sandwich like it weighed more than it did. Ruth from HR arrived fast. Cardigan buttoned crooked, face soft and serious. She sat down across from the woman. We'll do this right, she said, in private. Klein, that was not shy. The guard shifted his feet and stared at the vending machine like it held secrets. Klein said, Badge. She held out her hand. He unclipped the plastic and laid it on the table like it was something he liked. You'll need this, he said to Ruth, and he pointed at a line in the policy manual he had brought from the desk. Bag checks must be conducted out of guest view. Employee may request a union rep or HR present. He didn't make eye contact with Miss Klein when he said union. He didn't need a second write-up. Clock out, Mrs. Klein said. She put his badge in her jacket pocket. Her hands trembled. She was not a monster. She was a person who had put the wrong thing in the wrong place in a hurry. He nodded and stepped back. He cleared the break room trash that wasn't theirs because it gave his hands something to do. He wiped the table where the water had beaded. He picked up the banana from the towel and set it with care on a napkin. He did not watch the search. That wasn't his to witness. He walked out and clocked out in the service hall. The machine beeped like every other day. The hallway smelled like warm dust. He texted the overnight front desk guy who always took extra shifts. Come in early? He typed. I'm out. 3 dots, then on my way. Problem solved in the way small problems get solved in buildings that never sleep. At the exit, he paused. He looked back down the hall. Ruth was holding the door to 2B open. The woman with the tote had her chin up, eyes dry. Evan raised a hand a little. She raised hers a little back. It was nothing, but it steadied the ground under his feet. The next week, a small sign went up near the time clock. If asked to consent to a bag check, it read, You may request a private room and a witness. No bag checks in public areas. Someone had slid it into a cheap frame. Someone had straightened it 3 times so it hung level. Security switched their training slides. The new slide had the words, Dignity, Privacy, Process in a row with small photos of a locker room door and a blank form. The guard with kind eyes ran the session. He made it quick. Everyone had work to do. Housekeeping got 2 new lockers with working locks. They came dented and grey, the kind catalogue orders came in. The woman with the tote started using a clear zip bag for her personal stuff, not because she had to, but because clear kept people from touching her things. She still wore the same scuffed sneakers. She walked a little taller down the service hall. Miss Klein knocked before stepping into the break room after that. She still moved fast. She still talked in lists. She apologized to the housekeeper in private, not with a speech, but with a schedule that gave her 2 mornings in a row and a late checkout block that meant overtime. The VIP guest left without posting anything. The gold watch was found in the spa, wedged behind a towel warmer. Evan got a final written warning and then a new schedule that kept him to nights. Some weeks he lost hours. Some weeks he picked up more. On slow mornings he brought a thermos of mint tea and poured small cups for anyone loading a cart. He didn't make a show of it. People took the cups and said thanks and kept moving. That was the point. On a slow morning, Evan stood by the service corridor. The washers thumped a steady beat. He could see the lobby through the glass, all that marble shining back the daylight. He thought about the line he had felt under his shoes when he stepped off the mat. He didn't name it. He didn't turn it into a speech in his head. He just watched a square of sun slide across a housekeeping cart stacked with crisp, white towels, and he let the bright edge of it find his hands and warm them.